Hi, this is Colleen with Chats with Colleen. We're so glad that you're here today joining us for our bi-weekly podcast edition. This week's episode is with our executive producer, Mr. Sean Sposato, and we are going to talk about his recent trip to London. I've never been overseas like that. I've only been on a cruise or cruises, so I've never been to that side of the world. And so I was really interested to see about what he thought about it, how he planned for the trip, how many people he went with, and exactly what they did, and if he would recommend it to other people. And just to see a little bit about the perspective of how that side of the world is doing right now and how it's like us in the US and how it's not. So he's here to tell us about his experiences, and it's actually pretty neat. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope maybe you'll plan a trip now because you've heard what Sean had to say about it. And remember, our podcast is about our guests. So whoever takes their time to come on and speak with us and join us, we really are grateful for them. So we'd like you to join us in the upcoming year, which is going to be our third year. So we're going into our third year, which is really exciting on Chats with Colleen. So we post them bi-weekly. It's posted on all platforms, and we can record them via Zoom or we can do them live and in person. So please reach out if you have a short, something to share, a job to share, something that you're interested in, a story, a mission that you're working on, anything like that. We'd really like to have you here. So please reach out and join us and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Hi, this is Colleen with Chats with Colleen. Today we are here with Sean again, my producer, and we're going to talk about his lovely trip in the past month or so to London. So, what inspired you to go to London, or why did you want to go there?
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. A group of friends of mine, they had pitched the trip to me. I want to say like early in the year. They were like, "Oh, we want to go to Europe." Originally, there was supposed to be like a London part of obviously, which is where we went, but there was also going to be a Paris part, and we were going to potentially do like Disneyland Paris, which I'm a very big Disney Parks fan. If anyone remembers from the episode we did about my trip to Tokyo. And so that was potentially going to be part of it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out just because Britain is no longer part of the EU. And so there's like additional customs now that you have to go through when you go to other European countries. And so we were like, for timing, it just doesn't work. But ultimately they wanted to do this trip and they pitched me on it. And I've never been to Europe before. And it just seemed like a really incredible opportunity.
So you spent maybe like 8 months or so planning it?
So believe it or not, like, no, it was actually all very last minute. I feel like the planning really didn't go into effect until about a month before. And we had just kind of selected all the things we wanted to do. And I was waiting on work because for the timing of it, like to get off. And then I had a trip literally right after. And so I had to like essentially work with my employers and like have all this work kind of done ahead of time. And so it was a little bit to kind of get it all going, but we did figure it out. And but because I didn't really want to commit to anything because I really didn't know if I could go until literally about a month before the trip. It was kind of crazy.
Did it end up costing you more money because you were so late with getting like your tickets and your accommodations and stuff?
So luckily, not really. I will say like right now going to like, there's so many direct, at least if you live in Orlando, Florida, I can't speak for anywhere else in the world, but it's a really common flight going to London, believe it or not, from like MCO, which is the Orlando International Airport, for those who don't know. And Norse offers it. I did fly Delta just because I have status with them and I have miles through one of my American Express cards. And so that was how I did it. But it's really, after using, I think I used like 70,000 miles and then plus it was like $220. So I ended up spent like, of my personal money, it was like $200 for round trip.
For the airfare.
For the airfare, yeah.
Wow.
It was a really good deal. Of course, like I did use like 70,000 points, but like
still,
yeah.
Gosh, that's amazingly low. I thought it would be much higher.
Yeah.
How many people went with you?
So it was a group of, gosh, that's such a great question. So it was me, Wayne, oh my gosh, Mike, and then BJ. So there was 5 of us. It was a group of 5 guys. Yeah.
That's fun.
It was very fun. Yeah. We all flew in like separately. So that was like kind of meeting up was a little difficult.
So how you had to fly by yourself?
I did because they were all flying Norse and I didn't, their flight was like $450, $500, which is still not crazy to go to Europe round trip. But I did want like Comfort Plus and like I wanted like, again, I have status with Delta. I just like, it was just better for me.
How long was the flight?
So because I did have a connecting flight, the first flight was to Atlanta going, and then which is like 50 minutes. And then the second flight, I want to say was, I think it was 6 or 7 hours, which isn't like crazy. I think it was 7. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Having a GERD flare up. It was like 7.5 hours, which like after going to Japan, it really wasn't that terrible.
Oh.
But yeah, that was the second flight, which went directly to Heathrow, the airport in London.
Nice. So had you planned out your whole trip before you went? Like, we're going to do this day, and we're going to go here and eat here and do these sites?
Yeah, so a lot of it was now, yes. So at this point, like when I knew I was going, we had made a lot of arrangements ahead of time. The group of guys I went with, they're really into like pubs and they're really into like experiencing different types of like bars and alcohol. That's like something that they really enjoy. And so, for them, that was a major part
and that's
of the
popular
trip.
there, right?
It's so big. Like it is the city of gin. I think gin came from London. And so that was gin and tonics were a big part of the trip, which was fun. And I enjoy them very much. As you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so as far as like the planning though, I feel like it was probably, I want to say to be about 2-3 weeks before where there was like, we had like plans for the vast majority of the trip. And then I think the last 2 days, because at this point, I think the last 2 days, the members of the group, some were going to different countries. I was going home because I had another trip planned. Others, they were staying in another day in London. And so that last 2 days, I think that was like the only time where it wasn't actually, there was no plan. It was just like anything we didn't get to do or anything we maybe stumbled upon while we were there. That was our time to kind of pursue it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So some of them went to other countries.
Yeah. So 2 of the guys, they went to Spain.
Oh, wow.
And they went to Spain and they went to somewhere else. And I can't remember, unfortunately.
So they took like a couple weeks to do a European adventure.
They did. I think their trip ended up being over 2 weeks. And then like mine, it was supposed to be 6 days. And then I had to cut it back because of my trip that was right after.
Got it. So were you able to see all the sites and places that you intended to go to?
So yes, I did, which was really nice. It was unfortunate because there was like some like there were strikes going on while we were there.
Oh,
which was unfortunate.
for what?
So believe it or not, I guess the Tube, which is like their subway system.
Okay.
Which if you've never been to London, and I had never been,
Mm-hmm.
so I did not know this. The whole like city, which is quite large, it is essentially set up so that this is like the major form of transportation for the vast majority of people is to take the Tube. And it's constantly running and it's all the time and it can get you anywhere for not a lot of money, I will say. It's really not that expensive. But unfortunately, there was a strike for all the drivers of the operators of the Tube who were, I guess they were looking for more money and less hours. Because my understanding is they do work extreme.
I'm sure.
It's like a very intense job. And so I don't know if it's in Britain or in London, there is this rule where they're allowed to, I guess like it's every quarter. And do not quote me because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially whenever they're allowed to do strikes, it's for 4 days. Well, of course, like the 2 days that we were, 2 of the 4 days was like our first 2 days of the trip. And so like when I flew into like Heathrow, I landed after this, like it was 13 hours, but after both flights and my layover, I had literally no way to get to my hotel, which was like about an hour from the hotel or from the airport. And so literally when I landed, the whole tube system, which is connected to the airport, it was just down. There was no tubes throughout the whole city of London. And so it was like this hot mess of like trying to find a way to my hotel without spending like $60 to $80 on like a taxi, which is like kind of insane, but like unfortunately that was kind of how it was at the time because of this issue.
Wow. So is the tube similar to this subway in New York? It's like that capacity?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
remarkably similar to the subway. Granted, I've never been in New York City, so I can't be, but my understanding is it's very similar.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing that you did there or site that you saw?
So we
London?
did, it's so funny. It's actually terrible. It wasn't in London. We did do a day where we went to Canterbury, where it's like I want to say it's like an hour, a little over an hour by train outside of London. And we got to go on this like little excursion, and we spent the whole day in Canterbury. And it's just a much older part of Britain. Well, I don't know if it's older, but it's not as urban. It's very like laid back. It's more rural. It's like you see castles, and we saw like a cathedral, and we saw all these really old pubs and shops, and like it was just everyone was just so nice there. It was so slow. It was like it wasn't as intense and crazy. And we just got really great experiences that day. We got to go to like this bar with this guy. It was literally a magic bar where they did like magic tricks.
Oh.
And it was so interesting. We learned about like Houdini. We got to see this cathedral from like, I want to say the 1500s. And we got to go throughout the cathedral and see all these really historic sites throughout the land and the property. We got to do just so much that day. It was just such a great day. The food was really good. It was just nice. It wasn't, I think we got out of the hustle and bustle of London.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, I grew up in Orlando, Florida, so I'm only used to so much in Orlando now, it is a lot quicker than it's ever been. But growing up here, it really wasn't like that. It was more suburban. And then, you had like semi-major shopping districts, but it's not this crazy fast-paced place. And I'm also someone who's not used to public transportation as well. Again, growing up in like Orlando, Florida, that's not a thing here unless you take like the Sunrail, is it? It's the Sunrail.
Bright Line.
Or
But they do have the Sunrail, which is like a
it's
commuter train,
yes.
like from city to city,
And
like
so-
more local.
yes.
And then the Bright Line
it
would
takes
go
you across the state.
yeah,
right?
further.
And so like that's my only experience with like public transportation and things similar. Obviously Japan was, a very much like similar to this, but I think it was a little more organized and there was no strikes there. So I think it was just a different experience.
I think it was an off time because you went and they were having a strike and you didn't know they were going to have a strike. So you couldn't plan for stuff in the city with a strike ahead of time.
No, and then on top of that, so there was that strike of the tube, and then on top of that, the country as a whole was actually picketing and protesting against like immigration and these bigger social issues. And so we were staying in like the Westminster area of London, which I guess there's it's like a government area. And so on our third day of the trip, after like the 2 days of like having such difficulty, finding our way around because there was no tube, on that third day, they closed the tube again because all of these people had come into London from across the country and they were marching the streets, essentially protesting against immigration and all these other social issues that I think the country has kind of been going through. And so that was also that was a wild experience because literally it was, again, our third day. And I remember we had spent the morning at a museum. And then I remember we all were exhausted and we're like, oh, let's go back to our rooms and take a nap. I'm going back to my room by myself. And there's hundreds of people just flocking the streets of London, with British flags, and they're chanting and screaming. And it was actually really, I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was really, it's something to see that. Obviously, there's been things similar in Florida and Orlando and throughout the country. But I think it's different when you're in your home country. There's this sense of well, I live here, whatever. But I think when you're in a foreign country, it's actually really kind of freaky. And there were like moments where I was actually really kind of afraid.
Scary.
Yeah, it was really, to be honest, it was
What were
very
they?
scary.
So they were fighting immigration. Is it similar to like the issues that we're having here?
You could say that.
Okay.
And I don't want to speak too much on it because I only have so great of an understanding, but my understanding that I do have, and from what was told to me by locals, was that it is primarily my immigration and like people kind of coming from other countries into Britain and specifically London. And we actually met with like that night we went out to like a pub after like our, excuse me, the rest of our day. And we met some people from a more rural part of Britain who had, again, like everyone else, had come into the city for this like demonstration. And they were saying like, they don't really enjoy London as much because of the diversity, they said. And which obviously goes back to immigration and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really interesting, the whole experience. I think that part of it, I didn't realize that all was going to
You
happen.
weren't expecting it.
No, it was really wild.
So while you were there, were you able to learn anything about their culture that you didn't know before you went?
That is such a great question. I feel like, wow, what did I learn while I was there? Oh my gosh. I'd say just about like the transportation, like that in itself was so interesting to me. How just urban it is, like with like, the tube and like, they've got like, it's very similar to like even like downtown Orlando or other cities where it's like, the bikes, you can rent the scooters and things similar. I think that was like kind of cool. I think just seeing these pubs that were from, or these like restaurants or these locations from like the 1600s, it was just so interesting. It's crazy because like, again, growing up in Orlando, Florida, nothing is that old here. Like
Yeah.
the closest you'll get to something that old is like St. Augustine, where the forts are. And those are like hundreds of, I think there might be, I don't even know how old.
Oh, they're old, but
There's like
yeah.
thousands of years old. I think some of them.
Maybe.
Maybe. And then just
Maybe
those-
from the 1800s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really old. And I think it was so interesting seeing like where it's crazy because it was really wild seeing, I think, that culture that was just so old. And I think, I don't know, I guess like as far as like learning something, if I could like put one thing, like if I could give you one answer to that question, I would just say like how, excuse me, just socially what it's like there. It's just it's very similar to America. It's very similar to like Orlando, certain parts of it. But I think it was just very different. Like it was really interesting. I guess the diversity, I didn't realize how
was so
diverse London was. Yeah.
Similar to America because we're
Yeah.
pretty diverse. Well, we were, but that's another point.
Yeah.
So how was it there? Like, because I always think of London like London fog. So was it foggy and rainy and cool, or was it sunny and
and like nice.
Nice,
See, it was
yeah.
so funny. So like the first day we got there, because I landed first. My flight came in first before everyone else, and so I checked into my hotel, and I was just exploring. I saw like the Big Ben. I saw Westminster Abbey. I saw like all these things, just literally just walking the streets, right from where my hotel was, and it was so interesting because it was actually so pretty. It's like winterish there. I remember when we got there. Someone had said to us that the weather was being so nice because I guess a few weeks prior it had been so hot and they were finally kind of transitioning into fall. But luckily because of this, like they were still had, I think, the sun. And so it was so beautiful. Like it was like, it kind of reminded me of the winters here where it's like, it is sunny, but like, it's chilly and it's cool and you can wear like pants and like a jacket and like, you're still comfortable. There were like times where we joked, like if you're outside of the shade, you would actually kind of get hot and you'd want to like take off some of your layers because it was kind of warm.
Oh.
But like every day, I think the high was like 64 and then the low, it was like the mid 50s. That was like the coolest it had gotten. And it was kind of perfect, to be honest with you.
That does sound perfect.
Yeah.
How was the food?
So it's so
In
funny. I'm someone, and we've talked about this personally, but like I have a milk allergy, and they're so accommodating. Everywhere I went, that was the first question they'd ask you: do you have a food allergy, or do you have like some type of sensitivity or something similar? And so like when we went to like bigger restaurants, that was really something that was very accommodated. we again, like the group I went with, they really like pubs and like, which is all bar food and it's very greasy and it's like, it's still delicious. It's so good. I don't think we had anything that was too like, I'm trying to think, like they all had fish and chips, which unfortunately there was milk in the batter, so I couldn't have that.
Oh.
But we didn't really go too crazy as far as like, I think having like London or British food that was like no one had spotted dick or like some of the other like things that are really popular like and are exclusive to Britain. But everything that we had, to be honest, was actually really good. I did really enjoy a lot of the food. I will say one of the highlights, we went to, this was in London. We went to this Indian restaurant. Oh my gosh, Swarmy? I'm going to mess it up.
I've never been to an Indian restaurant.
So nor had I.
But I've heard it's really good.
We had like curry and we had like, oh my gosh, curry. We had like their rice. We had all these different dishes and it was delicious. It was amazing. And it's funny because I didn't really know what to expect, and it was amazing. It was like actually the best dinner of the whole trip. It was really fun.
That sounds good.
Yeah, which that is obviously not British, forgive me. But it was like something that we got to experience.
But something that you never ate
yeah,
before
it,
here.
as well, yeah.
So how do people in London treat Americans?
You know, it's so funny. I didn't really know how or what to expect because, you know, like people can maybe be not so nice. Everyone was actually so nice to us. I don't think we ever experienced any type of like, you know, like negativity or like meanness or like to be honest, like truly everyone was very nice to us. Everywhere we went, regardless like of the bar, or the pub, or like if we were going to like, we went like, and when we were in Canterbury, we did like this. We spent like a few hours on these like boats kind of going throughout the river and seeing all these different parts of of Canterbury. And they were so nice to us. We didn't really have any bad experiences, to be honest. Everyone overall, it was just everyone was really nice.
They were good.
Yeah.
So would you suggest anybody else to go there?
I would say you probably don't need as much time as I had. Because my trip ended up being like, I guess like 5.5 days or something weird. And I feel like that was I didn't need that much time. I feel like you can kind of see it all like pretty quick.
In a day or
Maybe
two?
Maybe like 2-3 days, I'd say. I don't think I would tell anyone you need 5-6 days. I don't think that. I think it's really not necessary. As rich and beautiful as it is, and it's stunning, and the architecture is so old, and the buildings are so old, and you see these museums that are so incredible, and there's so much culture there, and it's wild. Like we even like one of our weird things that we did, and forgive me, maybe this goes back to like your because did you ask me what was my favorite thing that we did?
Yeah.
So one of a highlight of the trip, we did like a Jack the Ripper tour. So like the murderer who still to this day no one knows who he is. We actually went to all the locations in London where he killed people, and
oh my gosh,
their bodies were found and the crime scenes were, and we got to see them all firsthand. It was so
I would
wild.
love that.
It was really exciting. I know how much you love true crime. That was a really fun part of the trip as well. And it was a nighttime walking tour of all these different parts. And it was like over 2 hours, and we saw so much, and it was really exciting. And forgive me because I think I lost track of the question that you were asking me. Because you were asking me, what was the question? Forgive me.
Oh, I asked if you had like,
if you needed like more, if I'd recommend it, I would recommend it. I would say like, maybe we kept it more loose, our schedule. And maybe that's why it felt like we had too much time. Yeah. Where I think if we would have been, I think I'm so used to like when I travel, it's like, we do have a later start, but it's like bam, 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 bam. We're doing all these things. Where with this trip, you know, we had an earlier start, but there was a lot of like downtime. I think
it was maybe the tube. If the tube was working,
well.
Maybe you would have been able to get more places and seen more stuff because you would have had transportation.
Most definitely.
Easier to find.
Yeah.
So were they able to come to an agreement for the tube?
So, you know, it's so funny. That's what's so crazy is like, so they're allowed to do these strikes, and they're allowed to last 4 days, but nothing ever actually comes of it. So like it's just legally they're allowed to still get paid for those 4 days but not work, and they're on a strike. And so essentially that
So
was
that's just like a
it
vacation
was
for
just,
everybody.
yeah, but it's a
If they
strike.
never come to any agreement,
No.
and nothing ever happens.
Correct. And so like my understanding is I don't think an agreement did come from that. It was just it was a demonstration, and
Okay.
it did hurt the city, and like it was a big deal, but like technically nothing, I don't believe, and I need to maybe Google this and see if there's any updated news on this. But there was no like, and that, again, like there was nothing I don't think came from that, unfortunately. So
That's strange. That's
yeah,
odd.
it was different. It's definitely.
Well, I guess you got to see culture. If it happens, they can do it for 4 days. Do you know if they can do it like every month or a couple times a year?
So I think it's per quarter.
Okay.
I could be so wrong, but it was like this. It was like there. That's the thing. There was like every so often they're allowed to do these demonstrations, and they can last up to 4 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you got to experience that. I guess then somebody would have to maybe, if they're planning to go, look up to see when their next strike is.
I would definitely recommend that. Yeah.
And go when it's just getting over because,
Yeah.
they'll be back to work.
Yes.
So have you planned where you're going to go on your next trip?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like so one of the guys in the group that I went with, he was like, because I was telling him how I really wanted to go to, Paris. I really wanted to go to Italy forever. I'm half Italian. I just think it'd be so incredible. It looks like a really beautiful country. And he was like, well, next year we'll just go to France and Italy. And I'm like, yeah, like maybe we will. I don't know. I don't know. That's very far away.
You got to start spending to get those points.
I know. Oh my gosh. Luckily, it's funny. With this trip, I still have a bunch of points left. And I'm definitely going to continue with the card. I opened for those who are maybe into travel or like looking for like opportunities to travel or have, incentive to travel. For me, I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, I am single. I'm like in my early 30s. I feel like I need to I'm not too attached to anything right now. I've got my 2 cats, which I'm obviously remarkably attached to, but like they are still manageable in that sense. And so American Express, their platinum card, they were offering 185,000 points, an introductory bonus if you spent like $6,000, I think, in like 6 months. And if you live on any credit card and you live in Orlando, Florida, that is very easy to spend.
I need to check my points on mine.
There's no way you didn't get the bonus. There's no way you do not have 1 million points at this point. You do need it. And if you need help, I will help you check that. But, yeah, I knew with this point-based system, like you can transfer the points 1-to-1 for a mile with a lot of major airlines. And with my Delta Platinum card, which is also an American Express card, I do have like status and I'm able to get like, free upgrades and things similar. And so it just made sense. But ultimately, the point opening this credit card, it was to like have this opportunity. And what was so nice was, so obviously, I got the flight for very cheap because of the credit card. And then I was also able to get a discount on the hotel as well.
Which hotel did you stay at?
Excuse me. And that was an experience in itself because I didn't tell that part of the story. So it was the premiere by, what is it called? I'm like, I want to check my calendar because like it was called so Stay Hub by Premier Inn, London, Westminster. And so this was in with the Westminster Abbey part of London. And essentially it was this new age hotel where it's like you get these little rooms where it's like your bed, your TV, and then like your like just like a shower, bathroom area and stuff, whatever. And it's just to like, it's almost like a cruise ship room. Does that make sense? Very tiny. It's not like fancy, but it's well priced. And like for 5 nights or 6 nights, however many nights I was there, it was actually quite affordable. And it was interesting because unfortunately, like when I was there, there was like this smell of like urine in the room.
Oh no.
And so I guess someone had like urinated down the side of the bed and like they didn't really clean it well. And so I did complain about it and they did clean it. It's funny because the first night I was exhausted. I just went right to sleep, didn't think about it. And then the next night I'm like laying in there after a long day, but I was awake and we had kind of been acclimated to the time change at this point. It's like 5 hours. And I remember thinking, gosh, it smells so weird. I don't know what that smell is like. And I'm like, I'm very weird with smells. They affect me pretty severely. I can't let smells go. And I'm like trying to like figure out what this smell is. And then like I'm like sniffing around the room like a dog, and I kind of picked up on what the smell was, and it was, I think someone, I don't know if they got drunk and
Yeah, I
just
think they
urinated
drunk and
down
they
the
wet the
side.
bed.
Essentially, yeah, and it was
happens.
down the side of the bed. It was so gross, and they had to clean the room like 2 times, and it was still, you still kind of smelled it. That was not the best. And then my mom was like, "Oh, you should just ask for another room," and they never offered, and I didn't even think to ask. I really wish I would have. But you know, I don't know. Again, these are all first world problems. Like,
Yeah.
these like parts of the trip that maybe weren't as amazing as they could be, but overall the hotel was very nice. It just, that was not that part of it, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So thanks for the tip. And then I also want to give, I just now recently got my passport. It just arrived in the mail
Amazing.
a couple of days ago, and I did the rush. And it took 3 weeks
Yeah.
from when I went there and when I got it, just under 3 weeks. So I was really happy about that. And then I will have to tell everybody, if you're going to get your passport, if you're going in person to renew or get it for the first time, yes, this is my first time. The lady kept asking me. I'm like, yes, this is my first passport.
Yeah, better late than never.
You have to either pay the fee for the passport with a check or a money order. And so I just had my debit cards and stuff with me. So luckily, it was right before they closed. And she said, just go to Publix and get your money order. I'll hold your spot. And when you come back in, I'll let you right through. So I was able to go to Publix, get the money order, and do it. Because I'm like, it's just the only Saturday that they're open this month. And then I'll have to wait to like next month. And it's cutting it too close. So yeah, so there's a tip. If you're getting the passport, you have to have a checkbook or a money order.
Very interesting.
Yeah, to pay the fee for the government. And then the fees for the place that you're going, they obviously take, you know, cards.
Yeah.
So thanks again for all your info.
Of course.
Everybody's going to get ready to go travel overseas to London now.
Yeah.
Just make sure they bring their Lysol to clean the bed.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Okay, bye. Thanks so much for listening and joining us. If you haven't already, please share, subscribe, and like our episodes and our podcast. Also, leave a review. It will be so helpful to us, and we would so appreciate it. Also, if you want to join us at any time, we're open to any guests joining us in person and on Zoom. We post and record episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Also, they're posted on our socials, which is Facebook, Secured Insurance Group, Instagram, Colleen Insurance Lady. This podcast was hosted by myself, Miss Colleen Pacheco, and recorded and produced and edited by Sean Sposato. Our podcast cover art was designed and created by Norma Pacheco. Goodbye.